Hello, Dayton, and welcome once again to the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton. I am your host, Spike Spengel. Tim, how are you doing this week, buddy?
Doing well.
Fantastic. So much going on, lots of volatility in the markets. We're still concerned about inflation, but folks, we want you to keep in mind, this program that Tim puts together is for you, the retiree, and making sure that you get your own retirement blueprint so you can get to retirement and stay retired as comfortably as you can. Today, you have put together a great program. I know that I need to get to the gym. I know that I need to eat healthier. We know all of these things that we need to stay in fitness shape for ourselves, but how does somebody know when they actually need a financial planner?
Well, that is a great question. The real answer there is not the financial planner, but the actual financial plan.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah.
One of my favorite quotes was Dwight Eisenhower. He said, "Plans are useless, but planning is indispensable."
Oh, yeah, right.
And that's not semantics. You know, we've never seen a time like today where people are in such need of help. The problem is with the media and with the internet is people can Google their way to bad advice. And that is just happening more and more today because there's so much information out there, and not everyone is able to wade through the noise and the things that are pointing them in the wrong direction, because that's not how Google's set up. Right? I mean, Google is set up to get you to click on stuff. That's their goal. And if we understand that as a goal, we can understand how a lot of the things that we click on is bad advice.
Oh, and we know our phones and everything are already intuitive. If you just start saying the word retirement around the house, you'll start seeing things in your feeds and coming up in your phones. You're getting all kinds of advertisements.
I'll pop up on their Instagram.
Yeah, well, I hope so here in Dayton. Look for Tim. But by all measures, I think we all have to admit that retirement today is much different than it was 2 or 3 decades ago. And I think that's a surprise for some people. You see this every single day in your offices by talking to people. What are some of the things that you feel are so different about retiring today?
Well, the whole landscape's changed, Spike. I mean, think about it. 60 years ago, it was very simple. I worked for a company for 30 years, and at the end of that 30 years, I get a pension, which gives me income for the rest of my life, and I don't have to worry about it. It was so simple. Today, it's not that way. Like so many things that happened, they changed the rules. They basically did away with pensions and told retirees, hey, you're in charge now. You get to decide. You've got to figure out how much income do I have to have in retirement 30 years from now? How much do I have to save to get there? And then I have to do all these calculations that most people can't do to figure it out. And oh, by the way, you're in charge of picking your own investments.
Right. And that private sector, you've also talked about the base that's nearby. So if figuring out your retirement plan through the TSP, I think that can be even more difficult, right?
Well, it can. And you know, the TSP is the Thrift Savings Plan is a great plan. And you know, Wright Pat Air Force Base is one of the largest employers in town. So we're very versed with the Thrift Savings Plan. Here's the good and the bad. The good is it doesn't really cost you anything, and that's not the normal case in 401ks. Usually there are internal fees, but the Thrift Savings Plan is very inexpensive because it's all indexes, which means that if I'm in the S fund, and that means I own the S&P 500, which in 2008 means if it goes down 45%, my account goes down 45%. And they don't do a good job with educating in retirement world. Companies don't do it. We don't see it in the government sector.
Yeah, it's oftentimes, because I've been in those places, and you either get a self-volunteer class where you can go take a look, or maybe a couple of videos online. But then our normal instincts take over. If you're a conservative person, you probably even choose more conservatively in those retirement accounts. Sometimes maybe even a little risky. But I'm also concerned about the amounts. But what you're saying is, you said that we've been told the retirement's been put on yourselves. I never got that memo.
Right.
It's silently out there. And I don't know if people are saving enough?
Well, and they've got to come up with the right calculation. I mean, think about this, Spike. So we have basically 30 years, all right? So let's say that a retiree is a person that's saving for retirement says, all right, so I know in 30 years, based on my income today, based on what my Social Security is supposed to be, that I'm going to need roughly $40,000 of income to supplement my Social Security. And so they've done that calculation correctly, and they've got their number. And so they basically are able to go online, they learn about the 4% rule, and basically back into the fact that they need $1 million to create $40,000 of income. Everything so far is good, right?
Okay.
Except that they forgot the 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
They forgot the 30 years, and they forgot inflation. So $40,000 becomes 80, becomes $120,000 in 30 years. Now their income needs no longer $40,000, it's $120,000. They no longer need $1 million to retire, they need $3 million to retire.
Oh, wow.
And if they were just saving to get to that $1 million, oops, they're $2 million short.
Right.
They've only got a third of the money they need, and they're only going to get a third of the income that they need because nobody told them about time value of money.
And from what I understand, this is exactly what the retirement blueprint strategy is all about. So you take into account those projections, investments. What else is the retirement blueprint?
Well, it's a matter of looking through. So the people that we see today are retired or they're approaching retirement, and so when they're coming in, they are where they are. They have whatever they have saved. And so our job is to then look at what they've saved and then figure out, all right, is it enough? And then what are we going to do with it? And so with the retirement blueprint, we have a process. And that process takes in things like a tax plan, looking at what their income need and what their investment accounts are through the eyes of a tax microscope, figuring out not just how to get them to pay the least amount of taxes today, but also through the rest of their life.
Okay.
We're also needing to look and create an income plan, creating contingencies. So, you know, I talked about Dwight Eisenhower's quote,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And this was drilled into my head as an infantry officer. And we were told you spend about 20% of your time putting a plan together, and about 80% of your time putting a contingency for all the things that are going to go wrong with your plan. Because, right, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And Spike, how is that different than retirement?
Yeah.
Retirement is 20%.
The blueprint is really the starting point.
The starting point.
But then you have to take into account everything else that can go wrong, including tax risk, your own health, the longevity, and all of these factors that go into it. And that's exactly what you're offering here today. Tim, I've got to take a very quick break. Folks, if you would like your own complimentary retirement blueprint that will take all of these factors into account, all you've got to do is call us right here. It is complimentary, but as you can imagine, Tim's schedule is going to fill up quite quickly. The phone number is 855-684-3485. Ask for your own complimentary retirement blueprint. More with Tim Lofton and the Retirement Blueprint Show when we get back right after this as we continue to talk about why you might need a financial planner.
Hi, I'm Tim Lofton, and for 27 years, we've been helping people just like you navigate to and through retirement with our trademark process, the Retirement Blueprint. Many of our clients are extremely concerned today with the increasing federal debt and the potential for a significant increase in taxes. If you share these or other retirement concerns, give us a call today for a no-obligation complimentary consultation. Let us plan your tomorrow today.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision. So why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Thank you so much for coming back to the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton. He is the founder of the Retirement Blueprint and the Retirement Blueprint Strategy. And we're talking about reasons today of why you yourself out there watching this program might need a financial advisor. Let's start with this, because you see so many people all of the time going into retirement. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see for those heading into retirement on their own?
Not having a plan, Spike. Without a doubt, it's not having a plan. Remember, a plan in your head is not a plan, right? And a lot of times I think we have an idea of what something's going to look like, but if we haven't actually put it in writing, if we haven't taken the time to, really think about what we want to have happen and then how we're going to make it happen, it doesn't happen.
It kind of sounds like a financial vision board that we need to literally put
Right.
the thoughts up, but a little more work to it than that. So,
Well, yeah, but I mean, listen, the idea here is that people kind of know what they want. One of the things that we create with our process is asking the right questions, and that allows people to really kind of verbalize what they want to happen. They don't have to know how to make it happen. They just have to be able to tell us what they want. If they can tell us what they want, we can give them the roadmap to get there.
it's kind of like the watch. I don't even know how it works, but I need to know how to tell time. So
Right.
you say, look, I need something that's going to help me accomplish this. Because, and what kinds of goals are you talking about? Are you just saying making sure I have enough income? Or are you talking about building in vacations? Or do you talk about health strategy? Or is the retirement blueprint all of that?
It's all of it. It's a matter of having a vision, Spike, for for the folks at home. Remember the definition, or at least our definition of retirement, which is you go to work because you choose to, not because you have to. That's what retirement is. It doesn't have anything to do with rocking chairs and golf courses, right? It's about deciding how you're going to spend your time and being able to spend your time the way you want to on a daily basis. That's the starting point. But there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes to make those things happen, because that vision has to last a lot of times for 30 years. So when we're thinking about income, it's not just a matter of how do we create income, it's how do we not run out. It's not just a matter of putting together an income plan that works today. Listen, if a married couple comes in and they both live their whole lives and pass away at 99 together in bed, there is no issues. They don't need us, right? We're not bringing any value there. The problem is that's not how it works,
Yeah.
right? And
You
so,
said all of those different variables. 20% is putting a plan together. 80% of life is accounting for all of those variables.
right, and think about those contingencies, Spike. When you think about the idea of an income plan, when we have a married couple, everything's good. There's usually 2 Social Securities, there's a pension, there's all this income that's coming in. But in most cases, one spouse has the larger Social Security, they have the pension, the other spouse doesn't have a pension. If one of them passes away, it's not uncommon for us to see income drop 30, 40, 50, 60, even 70%.
Oh, wow.
That is a problem.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
huge.
that problem doesn't happen at 60 years old, it happens at 80.
Right.
And so we have to know going into this that we can put together a plan that accounts for all those contingencies, all those things that can go wrong, from a loss of spouse to potential stay in a nursing home to all the different things that we're up against, because there is a battle there, right? There's a battle against inflation. Inflation is trying to take away your purchasing power.
Yeah.
Taxes are trying to take away how much money you end up with. So you have to look through the microscopes of all these different areas, and we haven't even talked about the estate plan.
Right. Oh, I think, in fact, you've got a whole program this month that we're going to
We
be
do.
doing on estate planning. But let me ask you about that inflation. For those who are out there watching right now, maybe they're a little worried, they're a little scared, they're a little tight. If inflation is reducing their purchasing power right now, is it too late for them to do anything? I mean, talk to the folks who are out there. Is there something that you can help them with?
Well, listen, inflation a lot of times shows up in short periods of time. Inflation isn't a straight line, right? It ebb and flows. And so we know what on average is going to happen, and that is that the cost of living is going to double about every 20 years. That's the norm. And so as long as we put together a plan that makes sure that your income doubles every 20 years, then you're going to be in good shape. Now, today in 2022, we have a different scenario, right? Our cost of gas doubled.
Yeah. Almost tripled, depending on
tripled.
what state you're in.
Right. We've seen an increase in just, in the Dayton area for just electricity. In some cases, that's grown 50, 60% to even double. So that's a short-term issue per se, right? I don't think gas is going to stay at, $4 or $5 a gallon forever. But it is an immediate need, and I think that's more along the lines of your question is, if I'm on a fixed income, is there anything that I can do? And, in a lot of cases, that's tough. That's really where sometimes we have to actually sit down and look at budgeting. We have to look at, what we're spending money on. And then sometimes we even need to add a little bit more growth to the portfolio.
Right. As the creator of the Retirement Blueprint, I know that you're also a financial planner right here in Dayton. You want to help the people of Ohio get to retirement and stay retired. What exactly will the Retirement Blueprint do for them? I know you've got a complimentary call. If they ring into you, you're going to sit down with them, go through some of these things. Is it part analysis?
It's definitely analysis. Dayton, it's pretty simple. You know the answers to our questions. You may not know what questions to ask, and that's our job. For 30 years, we've been asking those questions. If you come and sit down with us, we're going to ask you the right questions. You're going to be able to give us the answers. Once you give us those answers, we can put together the Retirement Blueprint for you. It's going to give you a path of getting through retirement and making the most out of your retirement today.
Make sure that you get your own Retirement Blueprint right here from Tim Lofton. It is complimentary, but you got to call us. Tim doesn't know if you need help if you don't reach out to us right here. 855-684-3485. In fact, when we get back from the break, I'm going to ask Tim what are some of those questions that he would ask you about making sure that you have a retirement strategy in place right after this.
Unexpected events, like a global pandemic, can turn our world upside down overnight. They can cause volatile shifts that may cause you to question the confidence in your current retirement plan. As a retiree or a pre-retiree, knowing you have a plan that can withstand the worst economic conditions is vital. Contact us today for a complimentary review. Get a second opinion and learn more about our trademark process, the Retirement Blueprint. Let us plan your tomorrow today.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Thank you so much for coming back to the Retirement Blueprint with Tim Lofton. I'm your host, Spike Spengel, and we're talking about why you out there might need a financial planner, someone to help you not only with your investments, but your taxes, your long-term strategy. And you know, you were talking about that you know the right kinds of questions to ask folks. Do you mind sharing with your television audience here what some of those questions might be?
Sure. I mean, the first question we ask is, who did your plan, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, did you use a professional that does this for a living, that is a retirement planning specialist? And have you talked to a tax planner? Have you talked to an estate planner? Have you worked with a financial planner? Have you worked with a wealth management team that's talking to all of those people? That's kind of the start of it, is to understand when they're coming in, where are they starting from? Because a lot of times, you know, in today's world, we see a lot of folks that have done it themselves. And, you know, at least on the wealth management side, have done a pretty good job, honestly. And, you know, we're always amazed at how well people have been able to kind of figure things out and push the emotion off and kind of grow their money, and it's impressive. They're coming to us, Spike, because they recognized that they're in a different spot now, that retirement is different than accumulation, and that they don't have the answers. I think that is so smart.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Like you said, some people are doing a good job. So this goes back to our conversation a few minutes ago before the last break, is that this has been put on our own shoulders. And so far, you think people have been saving pretty well in these retirement accounts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't see everybody in Dayton, but the people from Dayton that come in have done a pretty good job. You know, they're coming to us. They have a fairly good idea of how much they can spend on a monthly basis, and that's one of the things that we obviously want to know is, you know, how much are you spending? How much do you need to spend? We're going to ask them about things like their Social Security, about their pension. You know, what's coming in that's guaranteed. And then typically there's a difference there, and that's one of the things that we're going to do, is to figure out what that difference is in their income need versus what they have coming in. We're going to look at, you know, what they've accumulated, how they've accumulated it, ask them about risk. How much risk do you think you're taking? Because a lot of times when we ask that question to every person that comes in the office, and we say, hey, you know, where do you think you are in the world of risk? And they give us, you know, typically a number of, you know, between 1 and 10, I think I'm a 4. And, you know, we use that tool, Riskalyze, that software that won the Nobel Prize for Economics.
Yeah.
And we put their portfolio in, and it is never where they think they are. Never. Either
Because it's less risky?
Both. Sometimes they'll say, well, you know, Tim, we're pretty aggressive, and you know they come in with a real low risk number, or we'll have people say, you know, we're really conservative and we don't like risk, and they've got a high risk number and they had no idea. And you know, the number in and of itself, because Riskalyze basically goes from a 0 to a 99. The S&P, if you're 100% in the stock market, is like a 75, and so that's kind of their baseline. But what does that mean? I mean, to you as a client, you say, okay, I'm a 60.
Great. Okay.
What does that mean? What really drives it home is when they can look at their portfolio, and we can show them exactly how it did in 2008 when things were bad, and they see that declined, and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea that could possibly happen again. Or the flip side, in 2013, when things were pretty good, and we're able to just take them and say, hey, look at how this did. What we want to see is the contrast. Most of the time, the upside that they're getting is lower percentage than the downside risk they have. And so that's kind of the first thing we're trying to figure out.
Right. As a retirement financial planner, last question I'll ask you today is, will the money in my accounts that I've saved, will that be enough for retirement? I mean, because what I'm guessing, I'm thinking here is there a way to leverage that even more? Or am I just going to have to hope that by the time I got to 62, 64, 68, that I saved enough?
Well, and that's the question, right? Is it going to last? It's always enough at 65 because there's usually a big chunk of money there. So the question is it going to last at 95? And for the viewers at home, before you call into the show and say, Tim, I'm not going to live to be 95, I'm just telling you that the actuarials say for a married couple, one of you makes it to 94. So that money is most likely going to make it to your mid-90s if medical science doesn't get any better in the next 30 years, which is highly unlikely. So plan on it needing to be there. And so,
Absolutely. No, there's all different kinds of studies. One of them is if you reach the age of 65, man or a woman, there's a 50% chance that you will hit your 90s. So if you're out there right now and you're 65, two of you sitting on the couch, you need to expect, or at least one of you is going to hit 90. So now take a look at your nest egg and see what you need to do with it. Right. Speaking of, I would like for you to talk a little bit more about the actual retirement blueprint. What do you do with it as a retirement planner, and what can you do for the folks here in Dayton with it?
Sure. So our retirement blueprint is designed for you. It's not some one-size-fits-all. It is a custom-built plan based on your answers to our questions, and we know what questions to ask. We're here to help you. We want to meet you. We want to hear about your family. We want to do life with you. And that all starts with us putting together a plan that is right for you. But you have to take responsibility for that. You have to pick up the phone and you have to sit down with somebody that is willing to help. We're that person. We're willing to help you. Just pick up the phone and give us a call. Allow us the opportunity to meet you and to make your very own retirement blueprint for you.
Tim, you are the creator of the Retirement Blueprint, and you also work with a firm right here in Dayton. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So you've got an entire team of folks out there who can help you with the tax portion of the planning, with the legal portion of putting together estates and plans, and then you also have the wealth management group that you work with, and then everything that you put together to put together the entire retirement blueprint. Well, thank you so much for talking about why some of the folks here in Dayton might need their own financial planner. We're going to see you again next week here at the Retirement Blueprint Show. Folks, make sure you get your own very own complimentary retirement blueprint by calling the phone number you see right here, 855-684-3485. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be back again next week with the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton. I'm your host, Spike Spengel. Thank you so much for watching. Watch us again next week.